our conversation today on GPTs and their application in healthcare. So why don't we just start off with some brief introductions? Why don't you go first?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Hey guys, Michael. So I previously did my master's in computer science at University of Oxford. Before that, I was in computer science at Waterloo, and have been working in AI for healthcare for a long time, including research publications and work experience. And now I'm building a health tech startup, trying to prevent errors for healthcare providers.
Awesome. And my name's Samir. I'm a clinician in emergent critical care in the GTA, also doing some clinician educator work in residency programs, doing a master's in AI right now in healthcare, and very interested in the space and really excited about what OpenAI put out last week about GPTs and how they've made it accessible to someone like me who doesn't know how to code. So really looking forward to talking about how we can build a practical GPT today. Probably a good place to start, Michael, is by talking about what GPTs actually are.
Yeah, of course. So GPT, well, it stands for a generative pre-trained transformer, and a so basically what it is it's an AI model that's trained on vast amount of data set, mostly textual. But what it does is that by training on these vast amount of data sets, it allows the model to understand how to basically respond to a wide range of queries. So you can think of them as predicting what appropriate response is to certain questions or what we call prompts.
Really exciting to see what the adoption's like. I think, when we're thinking about creating GPTs in healthcare, especially with what the landscape is like right now, you really want to pick a niche that you perhaps know a lot about and pick a process that's a simple process in that. I think those are some things to think about when we're building that. And while we were chatting about creating one area I thought would be quite relevant, given the flu season is pneumonias. A lot of different information, some guidelines from good societies that we follow as clinicians. And given that we're seeing a ton of viral illnesses, bacterial infections these days, I thought, why not trial by creating a GPT on pneumonias that could help with patient education, be a clinical guide for clinicians to look up quick questions, risk scores, and I put together some documents, Michael, that hopefully I can use today, and we
Yeah,
can actually build a GPT and show people that it's actually
yeah,
really quick and easy to do. And I'd love your feedback as we do that, because I think that's going to be very helpful for me. So does that
yeah.
sound good?
Let's get started. Let's try to build a custom GPT without any code.
All right. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and can you see the OpenAI platform there?
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect. So the first thing we got to say is that you got to have a subscription. So, you got to pay the $20 a month to have access to this. But once you log in, you go under Explore and you'll see a section that says My GPTs. I actually created one myself for critical care decisions that I worked on.
yeah.
And let's create a new one. So we just click on Create a GPT. And the first thing that comes up is another GPT that you can talk to, right? Called the GPT Builder. Is that right?
Yeah. So most important thing here, basically what you want it to do very clear to the first prompt that you're sending it. So it has a good idea of the overall sort of task and topic that it's going to cover.
All right. So, how about I say I want to build a pneumonia guide that helps clinicians adhere to guidelines and also helps them with education resources for their patients.
Yep, that's perfect.
So, what is it really doing when it's saying updating GPT, Michael?
So actually what it's doing, basically you can think of it as generating instructions for the your custom model to help it and direct it to solve its purpose that you've just told it to. So as you can see, it's finished building. You can go to configure, and then you can
All
check
right.
on what actually changed. So configure is where you'll see what the builder was working on. So as you can see, it generated this paragraph of instruction,
Nice. And
and
it actually did a whole bunch of conversation starters all by itself, eh?
Yes. So conversation starters are just things that you can click on to get the conversation started without typing anything. Um,
And this information, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but like what it's using right now to answer these questions, if I don't upload anything, is just the corpus of knowledge that's in Chat GPT.
yeah. So when we're talking about not using external knowledge, we're looking at the knowledge that it was pre-trained on, and we want to
Oh,
avoid. We our goal is to have avoid the reliance on internal knowledge, but more on the knowledge that you provide it with, which are more accurate.
all right. So now talking about the role and goals, could you tell me more? Oh, great. So it's asking me for resources. I've actually put together a bunch of resources. Okay, so I'm gonna add some of those tools right now. So I go down here into configure
Yep. So you'll
and
see knowledge.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Perfect. And it's 10 files that I can upload. Is that correct?
Is Let me just check. It's max 10 files and 512 MB per file. And then for image, it's 20 MB. And then for your instructions, actually, it's 80,000 characters. And each end user is capped at 10 gigabytes.
Nice. And if you have like the enterprise solution, are those do you have more opportunity with
Yeah.
that?
So it says for each organization, the cap is 100 gigabytes. So I would think that you'll
Nice.
probably have more.
All right. So I mean, some of the things I thought would be useful is I have a patient education sheet from the Cleveland Clinic, which is a great resource
Yeah.
for patients. I put in a textbook chapter for pneumonias and actually a chapter from Rosen's, which is kind of our holy grail textbook in emergency medicine on
Yeah.
infectious disease. And then I put in the IDSA guidelines from the Infectious Disease Society of America for hospital and ventilator acquired pneumonias and pneumonias in general
Hmm.
as you see over there. And then a really good source I like using is called PalmCrit. It's a free open access source. And they have a bunch of really good practical clinical articles on pneumonia, looking at, specialized types of pneumonia like MRSA pneumonias and clinical scores for that. So I actually copied and pasted a lot of that information because it's online and not in PDF.
Hmm.
I made
Hmm.
it a Word document and was
Hmm.
able to upload it pretty effectively. Now, when I'm putting these documents into my GPT, will anyone be able to see it? Like, am I really losing control of who sees these documents? Because that's obviously a big question for us as clinicians when we upload something to such an open platform. Is how safe is it? Should I be putting up hospital related
Yeah.
protocols I might have that the hospital doesn't want to share?
Yeah. So the bad news here is that there is a something called prompt injection. Injection. So what prompt injection does is it causes your knowledge to leak to whoever the attacker is.
Mm,
And I've seen many examples of people basically hacking other people's custom GPT and get their knowledge basically. So it's very important that you think about what you're going to be using. If it's very, sensitive data, let's try to not put that and upload that to custom GPT. Um, Personally, I'd suggest that we only upload open source data and
okay.
be cautious because if you share that link to anyone, there's a chance that someone's going to steal your knowledge, and you're going to share it with OpenAI anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's going to be a big point, especially for hospital protocols for these sorts of um, different symptoms that we treat all the time. I think that's still going to be a big limitation because we can't put in, if my hospital had a sepsis protocol, for example, can't really put that in until I get clearance from my hospital to put it into OpenAI. So that's why I think really emphasizing the free open access information, research papers that you want to build into your GPT, that's all fair game, obviously, but things that are proprietary. A good example of that would probably be resources that we use and pay for,
Right.
um,
Yep.
because a lot of them don't want you to share their information on an open source platform like this. So,
Yep.
Up to date is a great example. A lot of clinicians use it. We pay for it, and it's a great summary on topics. But I think they've been pretty clear that they don't want you to upload their summary articles onto Chat GPT and OpenAI platforms. So
Yep.
certainly a limitation, but maybe with time that's going to change. So going back to the GPT builder, I mean, really great questions. I guess these are standard questions they always ask when you create something, or
Yeah, so these are more trying to figure out who it's talking to, what sort of conversation will be happening, and try to align itself better to suit your expectations.
okay,
One thing I do want to bring up is the importance of, you know, um, instruction or task specific instruction. So a lot of times when we're trying to build custom GPT, we focus on what knowledge we provide and what tasks we want to achieve, but we forget to tell it when or under what scenario exactly to look for what part of knowledge. And I think it's very important because a lot of times your accuracy of your response and the quality of your response really depends on the input itself. So in this case, you have 6 different files for serving different purposes. So it's good if we can tell them in the instruction when it should look for something in the knowledge. There's a lot of popular prompting techniques to boost your accuracy, but one of the very famous one is called chain of thought. And basically,
mm-hmm.
what chain of thought does is it asks the model to think step by step. But we're not just going to simply ask it to think step by step, but we're actually going to create this thought process to help the GPT to locate the accurate knowledge and then to think what it's going to apply that knowledge for. So I would recommend that in our instructions, so we don't have to talk to the builder anymore. We can go to the configure part,
Nice,
and then let's go to configure, and then let's go to instructions. So
yeah,
let's just go down to instructions and go to the bottom, and let's create a list of. So just tell it here is the list of the knowledge I provided and what they're for.
all right,
Great. So next, let's force it to go through a thought process. So you can tell it at the bottom upon receiving a user query.
go
Um,
for it.
think about what knowledge to use first. Extract relevant information from the corresponding knowledge, and finally, generate an answer based on the knowledge extracted. Yeah, and let's do a new line. And this is my trick that I often use to boost accuracy. Is in capital letters.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna say only use knowledge I provided.
And do I have to
And
say what happens if the answer is not in the knowledge provided? Or I kind of answered something similar when
yeah,
we were
you
doing
can.
the screen.
Well, you can emphasize that again.
Yeah.
You can say if there's no relevant knowledge found, be honest and say you don't know. Yeah, so let's get started. Let's do another case.
How do I know whether a patient has MRSA pneumonia? And this was one of the articles in the PalmCrit document that I uploaded. That was a clinical pearl. And so, I mean, there was a score that was referenced in the PalmCrit article. So it would be really interesting to see if it can
Yep,
pull that out. Yeah, yeah, the short score, nice.
that's perfect.
And can it show me pictures? Like there's pictures I've uploaded. Would it be able to pull that picture out because the short score has like a diagram for it, or it really does text at this point?
So we can test it.
Interesting. Yeah, so it couldn't
Right.
actually pull out because I think a lot of the score is actually in image form. So
Yeah,
that's certainly
that's.
a limitation.
But at least we stopped a hallucination, right?
Yeah,
So
no, that's
so
great.
that's good news for us.
Yeah, really interesting. Well, I'm just cognizant of the time here because we want it to be kind of quick and to the point. But
Yeah.
as you saw, we kind of made a pneumonia guideline
Yep.
that you could kind of peruse as a clinician very quickly, and it was zero code as we showed.
Yep. And then we're gonna share this link. And if you need the knowledge that Samir has put into this custom GPT, please reach out to us. We're happy to share any open source knowledge that we have organized. And yeah, try this custom GPT.